Welcome to another edition of CATA TechNOW Television. I'm your host, Kevin Wennekes. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sorry we're starting a few minutes late. My guest today had a little bit of a challenge getting the computer to work, and so innovatively enough, we're actually conducting this interview through his phone, just to show you how effective this technology can be in joining people anywhere, any place, and using almost any medium. So thanks again for joining me, and thank you. I'd like to introduce my guest, Koos Lodewijkx. Koos, thank you very much for taking the time out to join us today and for struggling through these technical difficulties, but I think as our viewers will see, we're going to have a very effective broadcast today. So thank you very much. Why don't you introduce yourself to our guests and explain a little bit about what you do for IBM.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, and apologies for the video quality. It is from my Motorola phone. Seems to work just fine. My Mac didn't want to cooperate. So I'm Koos Lodewijkx. I am based out of the Washington, D.C. area in the U.S. And I am the Chief Technology Officer in the Office of the Chief Information Security Officer at IBM. What that means is that I'm responsible for the strategy of securing the IBM Corporation, and that includes topics like technical architecture, things like policies and standards of how we expect our environment to be run. And of course, I'm not doing that by myself. I have the privilege of working with a tremendously talented team in IBM. Yeah, it's a very interesting environment, as you know, right now in cybersecurity.
And no doubt, with a corporation the size of IBM, which employ the size of many municipalities in Canada, certainly the work that you must do internally is equivalent to anything that a small city comparatively would want to look at as terms of a mirroring of, how can we incorporate best practices into what we do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you can't open a newspaper or watch a news website these days and miss the cybersecurity news, right? The number of attacks is growing tremendously. We've seen a lot of attacks on retail industry in the past year. Last week, a lot of news about attacks on the financial industry. Of course, that wasn't necessarily news because that has been going on for a while, but just big events that are in everybody's face. There's a whole industry, of course, behind this, right? The whole cybercrime industry, an entire services industry just around supporting malware. And IBM as a company experience at a very large scale. We have over 400,000 employees. We're in 170 countries, thousands of different sites, and we're constantly going through change as well as a company. We're changing the way that we're doing business, as you've been able to see from IBM. We're acquiring lots of companies at a very high rate and divesting as well. So the company itself changes a lot, and that makes that in security you have to be constantly vigilant and adapting not only to a changing environment inside IBM, but also the changing environment. I think one of the things that I find most valuable in my job is the ability to work with peers in my industry, in other companies, in governments, understanding what they're doing, what their practices are, and of course also sharing the best practices we have inside IBM. And so I'm really looking forward to the event that we're having in November. And you've given me an opportunity to share what keeps us busy and what works for us and what doesn't work. And so I hope to meet a lot of your viewers at that event.
Well, we're of course tremendously pleased to have you speaking at our event as the opening keynote. I think there's no questions of valuable lessons to learn and a lot of information to share. You know, as you mentioned, cybersecurity, cyber breaches are in the news all the time. We know IBM is probably taking some leading edge and innovative steps towards addressing it, and looking forward to sharing that. I know without giving away all of your secrets, could you maybe identify a couple of the highlights of what you'll be sharing with us as a keynote at our event?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be talking about the threats that we're seeing, how we look at those threats, what we're how we're interpreting, let's say, the threats and our way to respond to them. And then I'll talk about some of the major shifts that we experience in IT. And just to name a couple, it's the move to cloud that a lot of folks in the audience will be experiencing as well. We are undergoing tremendous growth of data, what we call big data, which poses whole new security challenges. We have a lot of growth in mobile and in social, which is for employees and for government workers, for end users, a whole new way of interacting with IT, with data, with each other, and that poses a lot of new and unique challenges. And so I'll be talking about how we deal with those challenges. And I'll be frank about what our current difficulties are with those as well.
Excellent. Well, frank discussion is certainly what we're looking for here at the event. As you know, we're hoping to identify a roadmap forward to better position Canada globally, not only as a leader in addressing these issues, but of course to protect Canadian enterprises from these issues. So I know, no question, there'll be a lot of valuable information shared. And again, I'm certainly looking forward to your kicking off our event on day one and helping us really frame and set those issues. Koos, I like to end these sessions typically with a small personal note. I noticed from your bio that you hail originally from the Netherlands, and my ancestry line still there. What do you miss most about Holland, having been in the U.S. for a couple of years now?
Yeah, so I've been here now for 9 years with my family. We're having a phenomenal time here. We love being in the United States. We go back to the Netherlands fairly frequently, at least once a year, to visit family. I think family is what I miss most. And I'm also an avid runner, and every time I'm back in the Netherlands and I can do a, let's say, 10, 15-mile run in a completely flat landscape, no hills, that's a whole different experience as well.
Well, we should get you out to our prairies. Koos, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. Notwithstanding some of the technical challenges, it's a real honor to be speaking to you. I know you're very busy. So with that, I'll sign off personally, and I'll send the last word over to you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for hanging in there with me with the technology. I think it worked out well. I'm looking forward to meeting you personally and meeting all your viewers and attendees at the event in November. Thank you.